Coming up on First at 4, an Eastern Kentucky man faces murder charges, accused of killing his mother. And with only 3 weeks until Election Day, the race for the White House looks to be virtually tied. We'll have the latest from the campaign trail.
And we have a whole slew of advisories on the map. We'll detail those out in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a Pike County man is facing several charges in connection to the death of his mother. WYMT's RJ Johnson has the details.
Early Monday afternoon, police were called to this home on Old Wagner Station in Pike County for a domestic disturbance. Police say 59-year-old Alex Uhas and his mother, 75-year-old Paulette Mullins, were in a domestic altercation. Once officers arrived, Uhas reportedly threatened them. KSP Trooper Michael Coleman says several agencies responded to the scene.
The Kentucky State Police Special Response Team was then activated, responded to the scene, and after several hours of negotiations via phone and then in person, they were able to take one male subject into custody.
Officers found Mullins with a gunshot wound, pronouncing her dead at the scene. In Pike County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Uhas is charged with murder relating to domestic violence, terroristic threatening, and third-degree assault. He is being held at the Pike County Detention Center.
All right, we have some advisories on the map, so let's go ahead and take a look at the latest in terms of advisories. First of all, we have a frost advisory, a freeze watch, and a freeze warning in effect for portions of the WYMT viewing area. Now, there's a little bit of choreography that's going to go with these advisories in terms of timing, when they start, when they expire. The frost advisory goes into effect tonight. Same story with the freeze warning. The freeze watch goes into effect tomorrow night and lasts until Thursday morning. We'll plot all of that out coming up in just a few minutes. But live pinpoint Doppler radar right now showing some rain pushing through across portions of eastern Kentucky, and this will be the trend as we go throughout the next several hours. Highs today only made it into the 50s, some places even the mid-40s. 46 was the high in Wise, 46 in Clintwood. Grundy made it to 49 degrees. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 20s and 30s will greet you. Now the question is, how long will these temperatures last? I'll have the answer in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. Polls are showing Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump virtually tied 3 weeks before Election Day. Both candidates are campaigning in battleground states today. Former President Trump heads to Georgia, where early voting is beginning. Vice President Kamala Harris continues her tour of battleground states today in Michigan. Attorneys for former President Trump are asking a federal appeals court to move his hush money case to federal court again. They are appealing the ruling last month that rejected the move on the basis of the Supreme Court's presidential immunity decision. Trump's sentencing in the case involving his alleged affair with porn star Stormy Daniels is scheduled for after the election. Israeli officials have assured the United States that a counterstrike on Iran will be limited to military targets. That's according to a person familiar with the discussions. Israel's possible counterstrike would be in retaliation to missiles fired by Iran on October 1st. A strike on oil fields could send energy prices soaring, while hitting Iran's nuclear facilities could trigger a full-blown regional war. Walgreens announced it is closing about 1,200 locations, including 500 during the next year. The closing represent a significant escalation from a few months ago when the financially struggling drugstore chain announced it was shutting down 300 underperforming locations as part of a multi-year optimization program. The 1,200 closings announced today does include those 300 announced in June. Boeing is turning to major banks and Wall Street to raise tens of billions of dollars in cash. The company has announced plans to borrow $10 billion from numerous banks. It also announced plans to raise $25 billion by selling stock and debt. Last week, Boeing's new CEO announced plans to cut 10% of its staff. The moves come after suffering financial losses from a strike and operational and safety problems. Delta Airlines says it's upgrading the look and feel of its interior cabins. The new color palette and warmer lighting is intended to look more modern and relaxing. Cabin seats will have an engineered leather. Premium seats will have a breathable cloth designed to regulate temperature. The Carrier 757 fleet will be the first outfitted with the new design. Delta says eventually all its aircraft will be upgraded. Coming up on First at 4, health officials are warning about accelerating cases of whooping cough, many among school-aged children.
And we have first alert weather days out for tomorrow and Thursday as we have advisories on the map. We'll plot those out in a few minutes.